Hello, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and we are back again for another of our live stream broadcasts. For those of you who are watching for the first time, let me explain how this works. We have an extended family of friends that get together 3 times a week. And so what we do is the first part, we normally do some catch up with some news, views, and updates on our various viewers. And then we get on to the main topic. And today we're going to be talking about the gift of words. However, if you're watching on the replay and want to skip the introductions, hi there, Jody. If you want to skip the news, views, and updates, you'll see at the bottom in the notes below, it'll say from 00 to such and such a time, normally about 15, 20 minutes, somewhere in there, news, views, and updates. And then it'll have another time onwards for the topic of today. So that's just going to help you if you're here for the first time. If you're a returning visitor, thank you so much. And if you are ghosting, welcome. We always welcome the ghosters. I'm amazed how many people have written to me or told me that, Sal, excuse me, I've been watching for months. Or one person told me for years and never, ever made a comment. And that always fascinates me. But, it's like, absolutely, if that's how you learn, if that's how you grow, then we just welcome you all the time. I want to start off today just a little bit talking about the fact I don't believe that we've got any more birthdays. We had Nyasha's birthday at the beginning of the month, but I don't think we've got any others this week. So if I'm incorrect on that, leave me a comment below so that I know to change that in my in my DearMamaSal calendar. And the other thing is we just updates in terms of health. We heard from Lauren that apparently her leg is doing a whole lot better. Jody, I didn't get any sense of when she would be leaving hospital. Did you get any sense of that? But she definitely is improving for the bed rest and behaving herself in hospital, which is what we would wish for her, because the sooner that happens, the sooner she'll be home again. So that is awesome. In terms of updates, for those of you who've been watching us, we've been doing My Virtual Mission. That's where we all do the best we can to get exercise. I'm walking. Lauren actually has been wheeling and will be wheeling again when she's out of hospital. Jody's doing arm rolls because she is, not able to walk or wheel. It doesn't really matter. But the good news is that we're all doing the best we can. I actually missed out yesterday. It was terrible weather. It was driving rain and very high wind. And quite honestly, I thought it was dangerous to be out because of falling trees and things like that. So that was an excuse that I had to check about 3 times whether it was an excuse because I didn't want to do it or whether it was an excuse because it was a genuine concern. It was a genuine concern. And in fact, I did everything I could to get up to the steps that I wanted and didn't quite get there. So after the broadcast, I'm going to be going around the block rather quickly. Jody, I wanted to ask you, how are you doing? Are you finding that your arms are resisting the extra work, or are you finding that they're it's beginning to be easier? And I was telling you that doing this, it's surprising how much circulation is required to actually just do this. I was testing that out and what it did to my beats per minute of my heart rate. And it works really well. And the other one was not to strain anything, but just literally do this, helps loosen up the back. Almost like you're swimming. Yeah, actually a swimming motion would be even better because it requires more twisting of the spine. What I was talking about yesterday was I've noticed that I got a massaging heat pad for Christmas from Yvonne. Yay, thank you, Yvonne. And I was noticing that my neck is starting to make a lot of interesting sounds. And what I believe is happening is that things are readjusting, and because of that, things are loosening. I don't think I had that ability to turn my head that far. That's always, that was one of the first things I noticed was my ability, my range of motion was really stopped. Now then, before we get on to the main subject, I wanted to thank all of you, for those of you who did so, for your various Christmas cards and things. So I thought I'd show you some of them because it really is quite cute. This one was from Trish, I believe. Isn't that pretty? And she says, yeah, it is from Trish. Hope you have a peaceful Christmas and the best of luck for 2019. But I thought that was such a beautiful card. And we've got, yeah, for those of you who know Jean, she has been a viewer for a long time. Very rarely talks, but occasionally does make a comment. And she sent me a really beautiful card as well. And it says, with woofs from Michigan. Oh, no, I lie. We're sorry. It's with woofs from Misty Moon, which is the name of her dog. Anyway, and it's also got a sort of update in it, so that was really nice. I got a really nice card from Jody, and thank you for that, Jody, and Lionel. It really touched my soul to read that one. I wanted to tell you the strangest thing that happened, though. I got a card with a letter in it from somebody who wrote to me under my maiden name. I haven't used my maiden name since I was 20-something. So you can imagine that to see my maiden name on a letter immediately sent up a red flag for me, and I'm going, what's that? And it's a letter from somebody that obviously knew me way back when. The name rings a slight bell, but not a whole lot. But basically, she hunted me down, found me via various means under my maiden name, and then found somebody who knew that I'd started DearMamaSal. From DearMamaSal, she got the address and wrote to me. So I'm going to be writing back to her. Now, my question is, if you got a letter from somebody where the name sort of rings a bell, but not strong enough that you're going, oh, that person. How do you handle that? And they bothered to go to all that trouble to write to you. I definitely, the name rings a bell with me, but I just can't put a face to it or a situation to it. And I think I'm just going to have to say that. And I'm pretty sure that, at my age and hers probably, we must be of a similar age, I would think. It's, it just isn't ringing any bells for me at all. I don't know quite what to do. Anyway, never mind. So I don't think we've got any other news, views, and updates. Have we got any really good news that came in this week for people? I don't think so. I am very proud of myself in terms of downsizing. I took all my Christmas boxes and brought them all upstairs. I normally don't do that. I brought them all upstairs and I went through every one of them. And I've just at the very last of it, I'm looking on the floor here. I'm at the very last of it, and the tree is coming down tomorrow. All the ornaments are off it and it's all ready to come down. The box is here ready for it to go in, but it's done. But what I was surprised at was that I only ended up with 2 less boxes than I started with. But I guess that's an improvement, right? I've downsized by 2 boxes. And some of the stuff I'm going, I wonder how many years I'm going to lug that around for. But you know me, I will do it until I don't have room for it, and then I will get rid of it. The topic of the today, easy for me to say, the topic of today is the gift of words. How many have noticed that it's not just that you say things, it's how you say things that make a difference. And if any of you have got children, you will know that you never say to them, do you want to go to bed? Because you know what the answer will be. You know, the way to do it is to say, you're going to bed, do you want to piggyback or do you want to race me? You know, give them a choice so they can choose how to go to bed. But you never ask, do you want to go to bed? Because, you know, children are smart. They're going to give you a no. Or you don't want to also say, you have to go to bed, right? So it's a case of, you know, let's just state the obvious. So I thought what I'd do is give you some quotes from a guy called Mandino. And I don't know if any of you have ever heard of him, but I was trying to think when I was starting to get interested in being successful and you know, taking more steps in the right direction of that. Who was I reading at that time? And I realized that Mandino was one of those people. I actually got to meet him. He was best known for a book called The Greatest Salesman in the World. And Jody, if you could just leave me a note to make sure I put that up on the resource page, The Greatest Salesman in the World. And the reason I wanted to give you some of his quotes was because, you know, he sort of was pretty clear about saying it like it is, you know, and I think when you hear how he thinks, that will make some more sense to you. So here's the first one. And if you don't know how we do this, what will happen is I'm going to give a quote and then I'll discuss what comes up for me on that quote. And then we open it up for other people to talk about what comes up for them. And the interesting thing for me is that I always say I could give you the same quote again next week, and it would be totally different response. But before I do, I just realized Trish included some quotes in her Christmas card to me, and I think I should start with them. Jody, let's start at 12:30, 12 minutes, 30 seconds. All right, let's do that first. I'm going to put my glasses on because they're in quite different type for me. And the first quote that she put in was, dare to be yourself. Sometimes we feel like doing something unexpected or unconventional. Swimming in the sea on an ice cold day, eating breakfast for supper, reading the last page of a book before the rest of it, and so on. This week, think of something unexpected or extraordinary to do, well, even extraordinary, to do every day if you can, and do it. Yeah. So how many of you know that getting outside your comfort zone is a really good idea? Do something. Go take it if you are able to drive. You know, take a different route to the grocery store or to work. I used to find that really interesting. Every now and then, I still to this day will take if I've got time to get lost. That's how I always say it. I take the different route. I will let Google tell me how to get to the place I normally go to. And I'm always fascinated how they take me there. All right, so here's the next one. Appreciate the petals. Draw a flower with 7 big petals. Every day this week, color 1 petal and annotate it with something that you really appreciate about that day. A colleague's smile after a tricky meeting. The cab that stopped for you in the rain. The cozy socks over aching feet. See how every situation has something to be grateful for. Now, I can hear my mother saying for which you could be grateful or should be grateful. All right, and here's the next one. Identify your magic. Magic isn't something that comes from nowhere. It lies within us. This week, draw a portrait or write a description of someone you love. Surround it with the words or images that represent that person's inner magic. Everything about them that inspires you. Then do the same for yourself because you're inspirational too. Isn't that beautiful? And just think, how many of you do that? How many of you thank your friends, you know, for things they probably don't realize that you value in them, you know, not the obvious. Because I think that's something that when I talk to some of my friends, I will say, have I told you recently how much I appreciate, blah, 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 whatever it is. And I try not to make it the things that everybody else will mention. Because there's so many levels of what we appreciate in one another, right? I always say when I'm doing the broadcast, I couldn't do the broadcast the way I do if it went up for Jody, who is our admin on these things. And she just does such a great job. But, it's not just that she's so organized. You have to understand she does it all on her phone. Now, how many people would say, oh, yeah, I do that for you, but, I don't have a laptop or I don't have a tablet available, so I won't be able to do it because I've only got a phone. Not Jody. Jody does it anyway. So that isn't just being a good admin. That's being an incredibly talented multitasker. And, that's something I really always have appreciated. Now, you're probably going to hear my phone. And some of you are going to wonder why I'm not picking it up. Because I am able to ignore a phone. And that's what we have voicemail for. Now, if my cell phone goes now, I will look at it and see who it is. But, other than that, I'm not going to worry about it until I've gone between. Oh, yeah, Jody, you might put a note there for me to answer that. What food do I miss? None. That's interesting. So that so this is a comment coming up from Last Minute Videos. That I've been diagnosed with diabetes and I'm changing my diet dramatically and doing the exercise. So that's what I presume. You're asking me what foods do I miss because of the change in diet. Is that correct? I actually had a bad day yesterday. I've got to tell you that because it's important that I keep, sorry, my allergies are playing up, but it's important that I keep truthful about this. I find that the evenings are difficult for me. I'm much more able to keep control until about midnight. After midnight, I seem to lose control, and I'm not quite sure why that is. And last night, I ended up having a couple of things that I shouldn't have had, quite honestly. And then I just had to forgive myself because, beating up on myself isn't going to help me here. In general, I don't miss any foods because I have allowed myself to eat a little of anything I want. So I just want to check, this is in terms of being a diabetic, is that right? I think I was quite lucky that I had made a few changes beforehand. As the viewers will know, I did make some clever choices before I got diagnosed because I knew something was wrong and I wanted to eat more healthily. That's an interesting thing, Jody. Is my blood sugar dropping at that time? That's a very good question. And if the answer to that is yes, I went over my calories. I went way over my calories to try and keep the balance of sweet and carbs, sweet and protein, because what I found was I needed the sugar. I actually went for two what do you call them? Ice cream bars that I've got. And I had two of them, not one, two. And I'm going, that's insane, but I've done it. And now what do I do? And I kept hearing, if it's sweet, you eat meat. And so I immediately went and got some protein. And that seemed to calm me down, the combination of the two. So I wonder if you're right. And so, Jody, I know that you know this very, in depth. You've been dealing with it for a long time. So that actually makes a lot of sense to me. So I was right not to beat up on myself. My body actually probably needed it, right? And I find that having the protein stops me craving even more. And that's really weird. But I really did beat up on myself. I wondered as well whether the fact that the avocado shocked me so much. I could not believe the calories in an avocado. 300 calories or something just in one avocado, and they're meant to be good for you. But this is like, wow, that's a lot of calories. So the fact that I had adjusted my eating habits to allow myself more calories because I'm trying to keep my carbs under control. Sometimes you need the more calories to do that. Suddenly to put 300 calories onto my day was really upset me. And I wondered whether that also caused a spike of some sort. I don't know enough about it yet. Anyway, good question. Thank you very much for asking. And if you have any more, just go right ahead. But I did want to actually just, explain that I had, had a difficult day yesterday. I ended up with too many calories, but I managed to keep the carbs pretty well under control, I think. Hang on a second, let me check. I really appreciate the interest in this. Thank you. Let me just see how I did with the carbs yesterday. I think I kept them under 50%, but it took more calories to do it. Wow. Oh no, this is for today. That's what I plan to have for today. No, this is, hang on, let me just double check. Just don't want to tell you guys a lie. Just bear with me a second as I refresh this. Thursday, Friday. Come on, click through. Oh, Thursday. Thursday is the right day. You're right. Yeah, I ended up eating 2,000 calories yesterday, but I kept the carbs down to 44%. Which, when you consider the calories that I had, was quite surprising. Okay, so Kerry, good to hear from you. And how are you doing, Kerry? And while Kerry is typing that, I just wanted to give you the next quote that Trish sent. We're often told to snap out of a daydream, yet daydreams are the harbingers of inspiration. Set aside 5 to 10 minutes for daydreaming every day this week. In the shower, at your desk, on the train. Allow your mind to wander wherever it likes. Afterwards, jot down any insights that come to you. And how can you follow through on them? How many of you allow yourself that time to just, let your mind tell you what it wants to do? It's interesting, some of the things that come up. How about this one? Escape your habits, Trish sent me. By making us repeat the same behaviors, our habits limit us. Think of a small self-limiting habit that this week, do it differently. So if you always drink your coffee at a certain cafe, if you go visit another, see what discovery awaits you when you acknowledge your habitual limits. I was talking about doing that about driving, right? Every now and then I'll take a completely different route to go somewhere that I go to regularly. Or this one, take back your power. Your thoughts are powerful. Positive thoughts are more likely to result in positive outcome. This week, focus on replacing every pessimistic thought with an optimistic one. If you think, I will never get through this work, replace it with one task at a time, and I'll get this done. or my saying, which is, it takes as long as it takes. And just keep at it. Jody always laughs at me, not laughs at me. Actually, and to be honest, she also is always complimenting me on the fact that when I'm doing a task, I will just keep going until I've got it done. And sometimes that can take me well into the early hours of the morning. But it's like if I started this task, I want to get as much as I possibly can done, if it's important to me. And there are times when Jody has just said to me, gosh, I can't believe that you do that the way that you do. And I keep saying that, when we start a task, we rarely know the trouble we're going to have. How many of you have noticed that when you start a project, you think it's going to take half an hour and it ends up taking much longer? Downsizing would be a case in point. I actually thought downsizing, I could do it in a couple of months. Yeah, right. It's taken me a year. And by the way, I would recommend anybody who wants to downsize and thinking about it, know it's going to, if you do it, without it being a major problem, can take you a year. I had, 30 years worth of stuff in this house. It's like, it's time to clear it out. And I've still got a garage full of stuff. As I pack a box, it goes down into the garage, and I've still got a garage full of boxes. So when I unpack, I will be doing the same in reverse, having a look at it and saying, do I have enough room for it in my new house? In which case, what do I want to downsize again? So Jody, I'm glad to hear that. Jody's saying she was able to install her fitness program back onto her phone again. Well done. And how did you do that? By clearing out some stuff you didn't need? It's good that you were able to do that. I'm happy for you, because I think the combination of your arm rolls and doing the tracking of the food is going to be excellent. Hi, Erin. Welcome. Good to see you. And all right, let me get to the next quote. Find the wisdom. I can read the big stuff, but not the smaller stuff, right? We often walk away from moments that unsettle us rather than staying put to find out what they have to teach us. This week, in a moment that makes you anxious, focus what there is to learn about the situation or about yourself. Really search for the wisdom. You may be surprised at the positive lessons you learn. Right. How many of you do that? How many of you see each thing that comes into your life as a potential lesson? All right. And Jody's saying what was missing up her phone was 1,000 pictures in it. Yeah, that would take up quite a bit of space. I cannot tell you how many times a new hurdle comes my way and I go, why are you in my life? What are you here to teach me? Or somebody really gets up my nose. You know that feeling where they really trigger me, and I will sit there and I'll look at them and I will think to myself, in what way are you a mirror of me? Now, I want to tell you, that's a difficult one. But it has been my experience that if I bother to look and be honest, the people that upset me, the most, I can see something of myself in them. Now, that's pretty hard to admit, but it's amazing. I will keep looking until I find, what is it about this person? Is it the tone of their voice? Is it their, excuse me, I've got allergies going on. Is it their body language? What is it? And I'm amazed how many times I go, yeah, I think I do a bit of that as well. And the next one that Trish sent was let go of expectation. Expectation is thinking things will work out in a certain way. Hope is believing things will work out for the best. Pick an event this week and write down your expectation of its outcome. Then write down your hope for the outcome. Cross out the expectation, leaving only the hope. That's interesting. Can your belief in that note make it come true? How many of you agree that's a good idea? Instead of having an expectation, all right, let's give an example of that. Okay, Kerry, you're going to go somewhere with Mike tonight. That's awesome. So what is your expectation? Let's use it, so that makes it relevant to the conversation. So what is your expectation about going tonight? And then what is your hope? And are they different? I'm just waiting for Kerry to come back with an answer on that one. And I'll just read the next quote while she's doing that. Treat yourself with love. We're so caught up in loving others that we forget to love ourselves. However, self-love lays the foundation from which we build all other kinds of love. That's true, isn't it? On 3 days this week, schedule time to show yourself love. Do something kind to yourself for yourself. Take a long bath, enjoy your favorite dessert, or spend an hour listening to your favorite album. I'm going to save. I've only got 2 left, so I'm going to carry on. All right, so I hear what you're excited about. I don't hear your expectation or your hope. That's what I asked. What is your expectation of this outing tonight, and what is your hope? It's called a quack. You know, when you ask somebody a question and they give you a different answer from the one that you asked, that's they ducked the question. So I call that a quack. And we have some political people who are very good at doing that. Okay, so now Kerry's saying for both she's saying having fun with him on both the expectation and the hope. Is that what you're saying? You expect to have fun, and then you also hope that you will. All right, so that's interesting. What would make it fun for you? Other than being with Mike, what would make it fun for you? I know that being with Mike is part of it. The building where the meeting is held, it's fascinating because it's full of history. Wow, that's great. So I didn't know that. Actually, I did know that you liked history, now that I think about it, but I didn't realize it extended to architecture as well. That's awesome. And does it come from a particular period of history that we would all relate to, Kerry? So let us know that. All right, so what I'm going to do is I want to go on and start with, Jody, I want to do the Mandino start time is 34 minutes. And the reason I want to do Mandino as a separate one is that's the one that that I said that I would do for the broadcast. So all right. So here we go. The first one, and give me your feedback on this. Erin, if you've got any updates health-wise, let us know so that I can talk about it. And then I will talk about it this evening as well. Mandino said, failure will never overtake me if my determination to succeed is strong enough. Jody, I learned my lesson from the master here. You know what I mean? That the reason that you see me still working at 2-3 o'clock in the morning and you ask me, why am I still working on it? I'm going, because I haven't succeeded yet, or I need to find out how it works. That's what I learned a long, long time ago. So, Carrie's saying she got herself some memory foam shoes. Yes, I wear memory foam flip-flops in the house, and they are wonderful. The only thing is I wear them out. I've got to get a new pair. All right. Right, here's the second quote from Mandino. Think about this one. Always do your best. What you plant now, you will harvest later. How many of you are working hard this year on planting better seeds? I'm amazed how many times I've caught myself already where, I was actually driving and I made some comment about some idiot. That was a judgment. And then I corrected it, and it was, I'm really trying hard to plant the right seeds in my mind. And I don't know what happened to me. I don't think I've edited that vlog yet, but I went out this one day and it was like everywhere I turned, there was another person stuck, in my path. And so, part of me was going, why do I need to slow down today? Because every time I take a corner, there's something else in my way that makes me slow down. Now, you know me well enough to know that I am of the belief that if that sort of thing happens, there's a chance that it happens for a reason and that somewhere there is an accident going on. And if I hadn't been delayed, I probably would be part of it. So I always try to, be aware of that one. All right, Erin's going to give us an update. Here we go. My liver numbers are staying stable. Yay. Jody, please, could you make a note of that so I remember to put that into the Facebook page? All right, and going down, so that's good. That means I'll be able to decrease the steroid medication and the immunosuppressant medication I'm experiencing. Some things. Wow, that is awesome. I'm so pleased for you. I really am. It's funny, isn't it, that you went through so many times where it was getting worse. So it's great to hear that things are turning in the right direction for you, Erin. I am really happy for you. All right, so here's another great quote from Mandino. I will love the light, for it shows me the way. Yet I endure the darkness because it shows me the stars. You see, what Mandino encourages us to do is to make sure that we appreciate the good times and the bad, because in each of them there is great joy and great learning if we choose to look at it that way. All right, Erin's just updating and saying she thinks that was due to her hormones going crazy, which might be a side effect of the medication. Oh, that's interesting. All right. You'll go on Thursday. All right. So best of luck with that one, Erin. Now, this is a great quote. And this one, I think if we could all do this, the world would be a better place. It says, beginning today, treat everyone you meet as if they were going to be dead by midnight. Extend to them all the care, kindness, and understanding you can muster, and do it with no thought of reward. Your life will never be the same again. Wow. How many of you are going, that is a good thing to think about every day. I'm going to treat everybody as though this day is their last. Without any judgment from my side, I'm going to treat them as though this is the last time I will ever see them. I think that's a great thing. All right, so Mandino also said, I am here for a purpose, and that purpose is to grow into a mountain, not shrink into a grain of sand. Henceforth, I will apply all my efforts to become the highest mountain of all, and I will strain my potential until it cries for mercy. You know, I think we all have a tendency when our health fails us in some way to think, oh, that's the end of my potential. And one of the things that I know meeting Erin did for me was to remind me that, we can do so much with so little if we choose to. It's all a state of mind. And Erin, I want to thank you for that inspiration, because I, as you know, I think about you often. And whenever I'm sort of going, well, I'm not feeling like I can contribute a great deal, and I'm going, yeah, well, think about Erin, And so I think that there is this part of us that can really make a difference in everybody's life. I think about Jody. I'm pretty sure that Jody, because of her illnesses, thought that she didn't have a great deal left to contribute. And yet, Jody, how many thousands of people have you helped by being admin here? You probably don't even think about it. And so to me, it's like we never quite know. Hi, Darlene. That's so cute. Darlene says, greeting from Darlene and Jason. We love you. Take care. That's really kind of you. Thank you. And what made you join in the chat? That's always fascinating. Thank you so much for doing so. And while we're waiting for that reply, Mandino also said, always render more and better service than is expected of you, no matter what your task may be. How many of you know that that I, spend a fair amount of time during the week thinking about what am I going to bring to the viewers that I think will be of benefit to them at this time. And, it's like I could just turn up and just chit chat every week, I guess. But, what I decided a while ago was I have the ability to pass on some really good information. And we have the ability to discuss some really interesting situations. And that's what I want to do. And so to me, part of the interesting here, the interesting part to me is that, that we can take these steps. I could do less, but to me, I never know, like Darlene, right? I never know who's listening that I don't know about. So Darlene says, I was just checking up on you. Thank you for that. And I've subscribed for a while now, MamaSal. Thank you. Did you subscribe for any particular reason? I normally try and find out why people subscribe, because it tells me, what part of my life that they took an interest in. So, how about this one? Treasure the love you receive above all. It will survive long after your good health has vanished. Wow, let me read that again. Hi, Beth. Treasure the love you receive above all. It will survive long after your good health has vanished. All right, let's let Beth get home before we start engaging her too much. That mother hen part of me doesn't want her a concentration on what we're saying, or actually what we're typing, rather than on, I don't mind her listening, but when you're trying to read in a car, that's difficult. So, let's wait until she gets home. I don't think it takes that long. All right, so how many of you do treasure the love you receive? I know Carrie does, and I know that Beth does, and I know that Jody does, and Erin definitely. I love, for those of you who've watched Erin, and she always appreciates so much the people who do her hair for her. And, So I think that's something that, I think that, most of us do that. I want to tell you, I so appreciated the love that I got from Yvonne in getting me that massaging heat pad for my back. I'm not joking. It's really made a difference. I can honestly tell you that I can feel the difference in my back. Now here's the next quote. Listen to this. I am rare, and there is value in all rarity. Therefore, I am valuable. All right, let me read it again. I am rare, and there is value in rarity. Therefore, I am valuable. How many of you believe that? Yeah, I love it too, Jody. That's why I wanted to just, you see, can you imagine that when I came to do YouTube stuff, I thought, you remember Benji said, I want to share you with the world. And then I saw what the world was doing on YouTube. And I thought, wait a minute, they're not going to like what I do. And I thought, something, that's not for me to judge. Right? That is not for me to judge. My job is to come and just do what I do and give what I can and let me see. And, the funny thing is, I look at it now and I go, well, 1,200,000 views later, maybe I was not wrong. And, we will never know how many people we have helped just by broadcasting. And it may not be razzmatazz, it may not be, all sorts of things, but I do know that it has made a difference to certain people. And for that, I am so grateful. And I'm so grateful to all of you that come, because, you are the reason. It makes it easy because I get to discuss these things with you and to hear your points of view. And I wondered, in a way, have any of you felt that you weren't that valuable? Has there been a time in your life where you thought maybe that you weren't? Hi, Linda. Good to see you. How are things in the UK? Yeah, we hope you're okay too, honey. So really great to hear from you. Here's the next quote. Obstacles are necessary for success because in selling, as in all careers of importance, victory comes only after many struggles and countless defeats. Just hold on one second. I want to show you something. This is something that I remember from my days in being a salesperson. And just let me do this. Okay. I'm going to presume that this is life. Hi, Trina. Thank you. I've just been reading your quotes, Trina. This is life. And one of the things that I learned, and I learned it from this sort of situation, is it depends. Can you all see that there are equal number of noughts and crosses on that graphic? Can you see that? And let us presume that the noughts are good things and the crosses are bad things. Do you understand? If you enter into life, from point number one, do you understand you're going to hit bad thing, and then if you go looking for something else, you might come down here, bad thing, bad thing. What is your perception of what life is? Can you see that your perception would be that life is bad? All right? Wow. Hang on a second. Linda's saying, brilliant, Sal and the peeps. Thank you. What you were saying earlier about being slowed down on a journey that I just had, being slowed down behind a tractor through a village, came through to find a 4-car pile up. Wow. Yeah. I really do believe that. All right. So here's what I want to say, that some days you're going to hit the X's. But do you understand? You have just as much chance of hitting life from point number 2. And point number 2, okay, is up here. And if you come in here, do you understand? It may look like life is completely rosy. Right? Does that make sense? But the interesting thing is, it doesn't matter where you come into life. If you explore all of it, you will find that there were equal amounts of noughts and crosses in your life. Yeah. Erin's saying there's definitely been a time in my life where I didn't feel valuable. In the recent past, in fact. Yeah. I'm sorry to hear that, Erin. Yes, Trish, I got them with the card. Thank you so much. And I showed everybody your beautiful card and read most of the quotes from it. I didn't get through them all, but most of them. But I really thank you. So does this make sense to anybody, all right? Obstacles are necessary for success. Because victory only comes after many struggles and countless defeats. And if you don't believe that, all right. Well, that's interesting. Beth's saying, I feel very valuable at this time in my life. It's like I'm reborn. Yeah, it's a great feeling to have, isn't it? So do you get this? Life has good points and bad points. And I keep saying to people, really don't think you're that special, right? You're not the only one with bad things going on. All right. You're not that special. Everybody has bad things going on. I hope that helps some of you to see that life comes. Sometimes you get all the X's in a week, right? You're going, whoa, what happened? And you go, no. If I've had all the X's in this week, there's good stuff coming. That's how I look at it anyway. Work as though you could live forever and live as though you would die today. Go another mile. For those of you who watched my broadcast about my goals for this year, you will know that I decided to learn 3 new computer programs this year. I'm also reading 3 books. And dealing with some health issues and so forth. But, it's like I want to keep learning. I want to keep my brain moving. It's really important to me. As Jody says to me all the time, hang on a second, my 2 marbles are not lined up at the moment. I want to make sure my 2 marbles, actually continue to rotate in there. I know they've got a lot of space to play in, but, it's like I want to make sure I maintain the 2 I've got. So Jody, does that make sense to you as well? That if we don't use the marbles we've got, we actually will end up having 1 marble, not 2. All right, so Beth says, I say, bring on the bad stuff. I know I can handle them so much better for who I am right now. Do you know something? I wouldn't encourage bring on the bad stuff. Life has a funny way of giving you what you want, Beth. And so I would just have a little, I'd raise my eyes up and go, don't rush. I don't need the bad stuff, really. I'm quite happy with the good stuff at the moment, right? Trina's saying, you're doing very well, Sal, with your healthy eating. I can't get my head in the game since Christmas, but not beating myself up because I have a head cold and feeling a bit burnt out. Do you know something? Thank you, Trish. I don't know if you can hear it, but I think I have a touch of the flu. I think I've been struggling with that as well. And so there's part of me that goes, I've got to learn how to do this. The other thing was, I don't know if you heard me say it, that last night I got a terrible need for sugar. and it came after midnight, and I'd already had actually just before midnight. It came about 11:30, and it really horrified me that it was just like, and what I went and got was a Frosty, because that's not too many calories. But when I finished it, I needed another one. So, it's just like, wow, I didn't understand what happened, but Jodi's saying maybe my sugar dropped. And that's what caused it. So I don't understand enough about that. So I'll be needing more education on that one, you guys. How about do all things with love? I don't want, as you heard, and by the way, Trish, thank you for I actually have put it back on again, Trish. Trish is saying, I can see in your face that you've lost weight. I lost, I think, 2.5 pounds, 2 pounds just before Christmas. I mean, that week. And then we had Christmas, the Sunday after Christmas is when we had it here. And there were all sorts of good stuff to have. And I had them. And I put the 2 pounds back on again. But I know that I've taken 1 off. So do I have an emergency snack jar of bad nibbly moments? I suppose so. Okay, so Erin's saying it's a balance. You shouldn't have sugar, but your sugar can drop really easily, and sometimes that will leave you with a need for sugar. You will see that if you they'll give you a meter and ask you to take I got to punch myself. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that, but I know that I'm going to do that. A few frozen grapes are good. Yes, that's something. I've started buying grapes so that I can have grapes when I need. That would have been a better choice. Right, Erin's saying then once I can prick myself and get those numbers, all right, I will understand what's happening a lot better. Yeah, and once they tell me what numbers I have to stay within, yes. I don't know about the rest of you. I like a framework, even if I can't keep within it. I like to know what the framework looks like. For example, some of you will know from listening to me that I found it far easier to work with. I want to stay within, as far as possible, under 45% carbs. I'm going for somewhere between 40 and 45 at the moment. I found that a lot easier. You can eat what you like, but you need to adjust. If you are over 45% carbs, you need to, adjust. And it's quite funny because I'll start the day with oatmeal and, the carbs will be way up because it's oatmeal. I'm thinking, rats, oatmeal was meant to be good for me. How come my carbs are right up, and then I will have a salad to balance out the carbs. And that's what I'm doing. Right. Beth says, what I was saying about avocados, they are bad for a diabetic. I didn't know that. I've got 3 of them in my fridge. All right. So a virus does alter your blood sugars. If you're feeling off, it could be your craving reason. Thank you, Linda. I want to tell you something. I really wanted to get out for a walk yesterday, and the weather was so bad. I didn't want to go out because I thought it would be dangerous, the very high winds and driving rain. And thought, that's asking for trouble for me. Oh, you're asking if they are bad. Okay, fine. Hang on a second. Jody will probably know, or anybody else that's diabetic. I thought avocados were good because they have good oils in them. Okay, let's find out. Not particularly bad. How high are they on the glycemic index? Listen to me. I'm beginning to understand this a bit now. And, I find it quite interesting because, 2 weeks ago, what did I know about these things? Absolutely nothing, obviously. And now suddenly I'm beginning to understand a lot better, thanks to the help that I've had. Right, cinnamon is good. Trisha's saying she's heard that cinnamon is good for stabilizing blood sugar. I don't know if you noticed, but I actually, I think, did one video where I was putting cinnamon on top of my apple. And I said, because and Jody's told me this is good for me, so I sprinkle some. All right, so Linda says, Mike hurt his hand and got an infection. His blood sugars have been erratic. And her general practitioner told her that avocados are okay. They're good fats. Okay, thank you. But can you believe 300 calories in one avocado? I mean, really, that really messed with my brain yesterday. They are less than 15 on the glycemic index. There she goes. Jody's really such a wizard at this. No spike in blood sugar. All right, that's what I believed. No, Beth, you carry on, honey. Look at that. They're less than 15 on the GI. I can even do the short terms now. All right, interesting. So it's okay to eat avos, as we used to call them. Now, listen to this. This was a quote from Mandino that I thought was interesting because in it has a really great lesson. He said, I have never heard anything about the resolutions of the apostles, but I heard a great deal about their acts. So we go back to what we were saying, all right? A dream is a dream until you write it down. When you write it down, it becomes a goal, but it remains a goal until you act upon it. All right, so Linda's saying, and yep, they're high, but on lettuce with chicken, they are yummy. Yes, I quite agree. I'm learning a lot of things that surprise me. For example, I was running late this morning for the broadcast, and I didn't have time to cook the breakfast I wanted. And I literally was going to not have anything. And I went, are you insane? Really, Sal, are you insane? Better to be a couple of minutes late for the broadcast than not to eat anything. You are diabetic now. You need to eat something. And so I don't know if it was a bad thing to grab, but I grabbed a banana just to give my body something. And I thought, well, bananas have sugar in them, but it's probably not a bad thing to have. Better than, something with a whole stack of carbs. And I'm worried about the carbs in a banana. Yeah, I could hear you, Jody. Don't worry. I assure you, I could hear you. I'm putting on my makeup quickly and I'm going, I'm late. And, I've got this time span that I work on, and I was running late on it. And I thought, well, I've still got time to make coffee. And I'm going, something, Sal, getting something inside your body is going to be more important than getting a coffee. Oh, Beth, I'm so pleased to hear that. Beth is saying that her husband, Charles, is actually going to have a sleep study done. I want to tell you it's fascinating. And, I also want to tell you that my Fitbit watch, and that's why I really value it. It shows me, I'm just going to show you if I can. I wonder if I can do it. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see those little red spiky bits up here, Beth? It actually shows me how many times I woke up during the night. And we don't realize how many times we wake up. When I had my study done, they said I actually stopped breathing about 16 times an hour. And then I also, because I had restless leg as well, I also was being woken up by that by another 15 times an hour. So no wonder I was feeling a bit tired. All right, Linda's saying bananas have high potassium. Check with your GP if they're okay. I don't have, I probably have, I think I buy 4 a week. And I quite often throw a few of them away. But I like to have them in the house. "31 grams of carbs." That's a lot, all right? But a breakfast would probably have been, a healthy breakfast would be around 30 carbs, right? So quite honestly, that would be no different than having a healthy breakfast for me. Yay, wasn't a bad choice after all. I'm learning. No, I thought about, it's scary, how bad the oatmeal is, although I know that the oatmeal is good for you. Hang on a second, let me just get that up here. Because to me, to be successful, you really have to understand what you're eating. Just want to see if I can, okay, let me. And I'm certain for those of you who've been doing this a long time. All right, so in oatmeal, it's amazing, 25 grams of carbs. But it also has iron. That's a good thing, right? It also has a lot of potassium in it. But the interesting thing is it also has an awful lot of sodium. So that was the other thing I found yesterday. My sodium was way up. And I didn't really mean that to happen. Okay, Trisha's saying, my brother and wife and 2 kids went back to San Diego today after their Christmas visit. Very sad to see them going. Oh, yeah. Probably won't see them for a year or 2 again. You're hoping to go there in July of 2020. Wow, that's awesome. I'm so pleased to hear that. So when you're talking about your personal success, one of the things that Mandino said is one of the things we tend to give up too soon. We get knocked down a couple of times and we stay down. It's so important to get back up again. How many of you agree with that? And Jody, in terms of when you say to me, I can't believe you're still, you're still doing that or whatever, you're still working on it. And I'm going, yeah, because I won't understand it until I do it. I don't know about the rest of you, but I learn things by doing them. It's not enough for me to read how it's done. I have to actually do it and get frustrated with it and fight my way through it. And then I understand it. And once I can understand it, I can explain it to others. I don't know if you know, but part of what I was doing was learning this new program, and I was watching all these wizards telling people the way to do it. And the way that they were telling people just wasn't making a lot of sense if you didn't know what you were doing. How many of you have found that? Some of the worst people to teach you are the nerds, because they presume you understand everything. They sort of say, well, you just do this. And you're going, yeah, but how do I do that? And they're busy 5 steps on, and you're going, yeah, but how do I do that bit? And so to me, it was like frustrating me because there wasn't anything there that told me how to do what they thought was an easy bit. So I decided, well, if it isn't there, maybe somebody else is like me and needs to know that. And so I did a video on it. And I think I've had about 120 people comment on it, thanking me for it. Right, exactly, Linda. You and Manon. Remember, Manon had a problem as well. All right, Linda's saying, I get that. My driving instructor said it would take me longer to pass because I challenged everything with a why. Yes, Jody, they all assume we speak the language, all right, and that we have those skills. The other thing that I found, Jody, is they all presume you have all these fancy backup programs as well. They presume you've got Photoshop. They presume you've got this, and this. And, you know, a lot of people don't. And so, yeah, I quite agree. It's like, and then they become arrogant about it, in my view. So what I did was I actually made a little fun video for the people who didn't understand that. You know, I was amazed how many people thanked me for it. Yeah, that's why you hate going to the phone shops, right? Because technically they think that you already understand it all, right? They're all nerds. And, you know, I want to tell you something, Trish. You know, there's one thing that I find is that because I've got gray hair, they think I'm stupid. And, you know, when they start treating me like I'm stupid, you know what I say to them? I don't know how to say this to you nicely, so I'm going to say it as I feel it. And that is, I was using computers before you were even born. So please understand, it's not that I am stupid. I just don't know this technology yet. All right, so just do me a favor. Stop treating me like I'm stupid, because I'm not. Stop treating me like I don't understand technology, because I do. I just don't understand this bit yet. And I'm amazed how that settles them down. Yeah, you know something, Jody? Yeah, Jody's saying here, to be honest, it would serve them well to know the range of their audience a little better, if they care to get the lesson across. I cannot tell you, Benji has said to me time and time again, you know, one of the things I always said to him, if you're going to do the thing and stand up in front of an audience, the greatest mistake most speakers make is they think they know their audience. I said to him, don't ever open your mouth to teach them anything until you find out the level of knowledge in the room. Because you can come in with the best presentation in the world, but if you've got a room full of nerds, you're going to need to go at it in one way. If you've got a room full of people that really just came in because they wanted to meet you, then you need to come at it from a totally different way. And, you know, it was funny because I remember that he was doing a speech somewhere, and it was it was at one of the, you know, like a VidCon or a Vloggers Day, and he was doing a speech to the YouTubers the day before. And so I said to him, you know, so what's your audience look like? And he said, oh, don't worry, Sal, they'll all be knowledgeable because they're all YouTubers. You know, they had to pay to do this. And, you know, and I said, I don't think so. And he said, what? I said, I don't think so. I think you're wrong. I think you're presuming you know who's going to walk into that room. So I want to tell you that if you're stupid enough to presume that you're right, best of luck, because you're going to fail miserably. And he sort of looked at me and said, what? And I said, think about that. If you got this wrong, you are not going to be considered a good speaker. Because you will go clean over the top of the heads of the people in the room if you're wrong. But you seem to know it all, so let's presume that you got it right. I said, I personally would recommend that you check that out before you open your mouth. And you know, the funny thing was, he decided he would do just that. And the interesting thing was that I was right. Most of the people in the room came because they wanted to meet the other YouTubers. They didn't come because they had the knowledge. They were aspiring to be YouTubers. So they paid the money so they could sit next to people that they wanted to meet. How about that one? The only thing was the majority of the people there were aspiring YouTubers, not YouTubers, not successful ones. And luckily, he had listened to me. And luckily, he did the warm-up questions. And afterwards, he came to me and said, and that's why I need to listen to you more often. And I said, well, you know, that's been my experience. As a professional speaker, I was amazed how many times I would go to do a speech where you presume the audience would look like this, but when you actually got there, you found out. The other thing that I found really interesting, I'd ask them why they came, what they thought they were going to hear. Yeah, that's another thing. You know, you can put up on a promo what you're going to talk about, but you know what people interpret that as is completely different. So I do it as an exercise every now and then. I get somebody out of the audience to write on a whiteboard for me so that I could concentrate on the audience. And I'd say to them, tell me what you think you're going to learn. You know, you've seen the promo. What did you come in for? You came in for a reason. Now, some of you came in because, you know, why? And somebody'd say, well, because you're really funny. I go, okay, that's a good reason. Laughter. You know, and then we go in, and then the interesting thing was very few of them came in because of what the promo had said. That is what amazed me. And I wondered about that in life, right? I often wonder in life, you know, why do we show up for things? Some of you come to the broadcast every single week, and some of you come 3 times a week. The question is why? All right? Right? So the question is why? For all the people who listen, and listen for 3 or 4 years, some people, or some people 3 or 4 months. Why do people do that? You see, my attitude is from asking people, because I do, as you know, I ask people, most of them have a really good reason for being here, and most of them have a really good reason for not coming into the chat early. And so to me, I think it's about life, right? Whenever we meet people, you know, why did they come to this church, let's say? Why did they come to this party as opposed to somebody else's? It's always interesting to me, because if you bother to ask those questions, people go, what? I go, well, you presumably had a few other invitations. Why did you come to this one? You know, you get some really interesting answers from people. And most of them, they chuckle. They go, actually, you're right. So to me, finding out what people really want or the reason why they're there is fascinating. I wanted to talk a little bit about Mandino this week, because I really did, when I was thinking about, well, you know, which of the successful quotes in my lifetime, which ones did I find helped me the most? And I definitely would say that, you know, Og's, the greatest salesman in the world, just spoke to me on so many different levels. And they spoke to me on so many different levels, because the greatest salesman in the world wasn't about selling necessarily. To my mind, it was about life. It's, for example, he said, count your blessings. Once you realize how valuable you are, right, there we go again, and how much you have going for you, the smile will return. The sun will break out and the music will play, and finally you'll be able to move forward in a life that God intended for you, with grace, strength, courage, and confidence. Wouldn't that be a great way to live this year? With grace, strength, courage, and confidence. What would you do with grace, strength, courage, and confidence this year? What could you do with those characteristics? And by the way, if you just had those characteristics, where would they take you? The person who knows one thing and does it better than anyone else, even if it only be the art of raising lentils, receives the crown he merits. If he raises all his energy to that end, he is a benefactor of mankind and is rewarded as such. Hi, Beth. Welcome home. Did any of you see the little video I put up on Facebook about the loofah? And if you don't know what a loofah is, just tell me. Now, I don't know about the rest of you, but I grew up being told that loofahs came from the sea. Well, that's apparently wrong. I didn't know that. It's actually is a plant. I really didn't know that, and that's what I found fascinating. But what I found even more fascinating was the use for them. Other than, I'd always been, loofahs were for exfoliating your skin, most of all your back, right? That's most loofahs are used as back scrubbers, real ones, not synthetic ones. You didn't know it was a plant either, yeah. Now, Triona, have you started experimenting? Did you find one? I found one. I had one in the house, and I immediately cut it up. And I have started using it now that I understand it better. I've started using it to in my kitchen to clean my pots and pans. When I say my pots and pans, my ceramic fry pan and so forth. And I just put it in the dishwasher. And it's just like, why did I not know about this? So I'm hoping that some of you found that interesting. I have to tell you that if I look at something and I go, boy, that's really interesting, I work on the principle that if I found it really interesting, then the chances are that you guys will as well. So I learned something new this week. I learned that a loofah doesn't come from the sea, but I also learned that you can use it as a scrubbing agent. Yeah, I think you know something, Trish, if you go to, I don't know if you have Walmart in Ireland, but if you go to the bath section where they have the bath salts and bath, the hair wrap things and stuff like that, they normally have one in a supermarket. Yeah. But make sure it's a natural one, not a synthetic one. No Walmart. Okay, give me Tesco. What is your supermarket that sells everything? It doesn't just do food or vegetables, but also sells maybe. Oh, you know what? Where? Go to Boots. Boots will have it. Do you have Boots in Ireland? I'm trying to think of my British heritage now. Any chemist, they call them chemists there. Any chemist would have one, I would think. M&S, Marks and Spencer. Yep. Anything that has a beauty bath section, not beauty, but a bath section would normally have one or two. They might not have a big choice of them, but I would think Boots would be my number one go-to to get a loofah. But if you happen to be in Tesco is mostly groceries though, right? It's not, does it sell bath things as well? Anyway, have any of you never seen a loofah? Just so that you know, I hate talking about things where people don't know what I'm talking about. Tesco sells everything. That's what I thought. Okay, so either Tesco or Boots should have them in their bath section, you know, where you would find, you know, the bath salts, bath spray, not spray, what do you call it? Bubble bath, that sort of section in there, where they normally where they have the, it's part of the cucumber family, yeah. Hang on a second. So for those of you who don't know, it looks like a big cucumber. It looks more like a eggplant, actually. But this is what it looks like inside. I cut this one in half, but if you can imagine, it looks like this, and it's about yay long. And what they said in this video was that to use it in the kitchen, you know, if you've got a glass top cooker, for example, it works really well. You know, if you've got ceramic pans, use it. Now, this one is, I've had it in water so that it's soft, and this one has been out of water and it sort of doesn't have as much resilience to it. You know what I mean? It's more brittle. So before you use it, make sure it's soft. And it actually does work really well. My question is, you'll forgive me on this one, but you know, when God made loofahs, why? Why did he want them? Because as far as I can see, it's not edible. You know, why did he put it on earth? I'm certain when God made them, he didn't say the world needs back scrubbers, so let me produce loofahs. You know, I'm going, most cucumbers, you know, I understand women to eat them, but loofahs? So if anybody's got the answer to that, please let me know. I've been worried about that ever since. Clean a Stone Age pot. Yeah, it's right. Right. It gave you fire. Now you got pots. Now you need to clean them. I'll make loofahs. Okay. Thank you so much, Linda. But you know my mind. I'm going, I can't see God sort of going, and now we need loofahs, you know, to start fires. Wow, are they flammable? No, I went to it now. That's a good idea. By the way, are any of you campers? Do any of you like going camping? It is one of those things where, you know, if you watch enough YouTube in your life, it's amazing the things you find out. One of the things I found out was, you know, I'm always looking for other uses for my toilet roll inside bits. All right. One of the things I found out is if you take that, you know, and press the end in, as you know I do, stuff it full of lint from your dryer, best fire starters ever. Actually, I must make some for Marnie. But you know, some people have got fireplaces still. You know, they got real fireplaces. Best fire starters, right? You got the cardboard, which takes the light easily, and inside you've got the lint, and that also. You know, so you put 2 or 3 of those in there, you got yourself a roaring fire in no time. Yeah. Yeah. Full of useless knowledge, but I love finding out these things. Yeah, you know, and that's what I found as well. They're very useful to plant seeds in, yes. You always use lint to start your fast. Yeah, you know, and so there you go. All right. I'm amazed how many people throw their lint away. And I'm going, you know, if you happen to be a camper, don't throw the lint away. Hang on to it. Keep it out of the house though, because it's highly combustible if you're not careful. How about the victory of success is half won when one gains the habit of setting goals and achieving them? How many of you agree with that? How many of you realize that you are not going to be successful at anything if you don't set your goals? So hang on one second. I want to show you something. Now, you may have heard that Beth once or twice has said, you know, that she can't write down goals because she ends up with way too many things. Beth, I thought you'd like to see what happened to me this week. This is what my life looked like this week. And you think that's bad, Beth? I still had another page, 2 pages of notes above them, right? But the interesting thing, Beth, was not how many things I wrote down. It was how many things I crossed out. So if you look at it, I crossed out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26 things I crossed out in 3 days. How many of you agree with me that I might think I don't do very much? But the interesting thing was those 26 things came from just this list of goals for January. All right. Yeah, I found the other thing that I really try and work on, and I don't know about the rest of you, but this is my sort of major list that I'm working on. And I start each day with whatever is now at the top of the list, not what was at the top of the list yesterday. After I've done the things that I wanted to do yesterday, what is on the top of the list today? And I start with that. Now, the reason I'm mentioning it is because one of the things on my list is I need to get somebody in to work on my garden, to tidy it up, ready to sell my house. And I've been meaning to do that since the fall. You know, I had the guy all lined up and everything, and he just said, wait until the leaves have finished, and then, you know, we'll do it. Thank you, Beth. But I'm sure you knew that already about me, Beth. So the interesting thing to me was that it was like, I need to do it. But and then I waited because of the leaves and everything. And I'm going, I think it's time now. And I actually got to the guy, and he had told me, go out and take pictures of your yard so I can see what we're dealing with. And I went and did that. And then I couldn't find the pictures. How many of you relate to that one? You know, it's like, I know I've got these pictures. I know I took them, but where are they? So eventually I found them in Google. And then I wrote to him and said, okay, fine, I've got the pictures, give me the email address and I'll send them to you. And he wrote back and said, I just took a job. I won't be doing that work anymore. And I went, really? All this time, I spent going through, all sorts of steps, like find the pictures, check Google, do whatever, and then he's not doing it anymore. That came off. I need better tape. So I've got tape. I can do this. Don't put off until tomorrow, but I can do it right now. So to me, it's like, So the point being, if you don't write your goals down, don't expect to achieve them. And one of the things I had this week was to actually read a chapter of each of my books, because I've been a bit slow on that. And I'm pleased to tell you I've read a chapter of each of the 3 books already this week, and I've still got a day to go. Okay, let's get a bit of tape on it now. You don't have to worry about it. I made my own little flappy thing here because that way it keeps it better organized. And please notice the color coordination. This is called a Cirrus tape dispenser, Kimmy. Kimmy, did you, what did I send you this week? Last week I sent you the bread thing, but this week I knew I found something that you were looking for. And I can't remember what it was. Oh, yes. Do all of you know how to do that? How to use Google Documents. You can talk into it and it'll type what you're doing. You don't have to have a fancy program. Google Documents does it for you. Kimmy was asking about that some weeks ago, and I just went, and Kimmy, the funny thing was, I learned about it because one of the programs that I am learning is Doodly, which does the cartoon stuff. And one of the guys was putting up what he'd been working on, and it was how to use Google Docs so you could talk to it and it would type for you. And I'm going, I don't believe that. And I actually said, great video, but by the way, thank you so much for this information because I've got a viewer that needs it. So, Kimmy, I hope you saw that. Did you see it? And who else probably needs it? Nyasha, I would think. So just remind me, if you will, Jody, to let Nyasha know in case I didn't. Anyway, so today we're talking about the success, and we're doing quotes from the writer of a book called The Greatest Salesman in the World. And one of the points that I'm making, I did an interview once, and maybe when we get to the memory box, which we hope we'll get to eventually, in there is a picture, hopefully, of me when I was interviewed one time. And I don't know if any of you agree with me, but I said during this interview that it is my absolute sadness that we don't teach salesmanship at school. And my reason being was that everybody in their life needs to sell themselves, whether you want a date, whether you want a job, whether you want to help somebody. We all need this skill of salesmanship. If you have children, you need the skill of salesmanship. So, what I said was, why don't we teach the skill at school? Because in some ways, I think that salesmanship will bring our youth a lot better results than some of the other things that we teach at school. Anyway, it was quite controversial at the time that I said it, but I still believe it. I think that we definitely need to teach children the art of that. And one of the things I did, I was asked once to do I offered my service to the local community center. Actually, it's technical college. And, they needed somebody to do a sales course, and I offered to do it for them. And they were sort of a bit ho-hum about that. And being me, I didn't do the course the same way as everybody else did. And my attitude is, if we're doing a sales course, then you're going to sell me on each of these chapters that we're going to read about, because that's what salesmanship is. So I would literally get the students to go away, read the chapter, and then do a presentation be ready to do a presentation on it. And you never knew who I was going to pick to do the presentation. And then the other people got to interact with that to see whether they agreed with it. And so, you know, to me, it was not only teaching them the written stuff, but it was also teaching them the skill of salesmanship. And, you know, were they using presentation aids? Were they doing whatever? And it was really funny because somebody must have complained about it, because they actually, you know, had me leave the classroom after about a month and did a survey with the students and said, you know, somebody has complained that she's not doing it the right way. And what surprised me was the students said, no, but it's twice as interesting and it really is building the skills. So it might not be the normal way of doing it, but boy, is she teaching salesmanship plus. And the dean came out and said, go right ahead. I went, okay, fine. You know, the one person didn't like it because they thought it should look like this. And my attitude was, if I can teach them what I need to teach them and make it fun, you know, I would do that. So Linda's saying all this talk about carbs and I'm having a crisp butty. Now, for those of you who don't know what a crisp butty is, that is a sandwich made of French fries. That is serious carbs. Yeah, Trish, you know, I that was my argument, which is why, you know, we've got so many children who go through school as shy and they remain shy and they don't have no idea how to sell themselves when it comes to a job interview. And one of the biggest problems, I actually hire myself out to people who are trying to do serious interviews, like into med school or into the firefighters or, you know, those sort of interviews, where I keep trying to explain to people, you know, you can have all the credentials in the world, but the truth is, if you can't sell yourself in an interview, then you're not going to get this job. Because there's going to be somebody else who's got equal qualifications. And maybe they look better than you do, right? It can be as simple as that. Or maybe they're the second cousin 3 times removed from the fire chief or whatever it is. So you need more than just your academics or your physical to get a job. And so to me, it is really, really important. And, you know, it's amazing how many people I've actually, you know, that have failed to get into med school that came to me and I got them in. And, you know, it was strange because they said to me, I didn't know any of these things. I said, no, of course not. Of course not. When do we teach people these skills? Where do we teach people that if you haven't the foggiest idea what to say, this is what you talk about and how you do it? If they ask you a question that you have absolutely no idea about, how do you cover that? So, you know, to me, it's like, I think I learned a lot of those skills from being somebody that, you know, was in sales at one time. So how about each day is a special gift from God? And while life may not always be fair, you must never allow the pains, hurdles, and handicaps of the moment to poison your attitude and plans for yourself and your future. You can never win when you wear the ugly cloak of self-pity, and the sour sound of whining will certainly frighten away any opportunity for success. Never again. There is a better way. And you have heard me say to people that have come here, if you want help, we will give it. If you're looking for sympathy, we probably will give a bit of that, but not a lot. You see, it is my belief that you cannot think your way out of issues. You have to do your way out. You have to act. It is not a passive thing. Jody and Erin, for example, need to get up every day, and well, Erin has to be helped to get up every day. And getting up every day to Erin means staying exactly where she was all night. And for Jody, her getting up every day, means that she gets to move from her hospital bed to a recliner. Like, hello, this is what getting up means. And so, you look at it and you go, it's very easy to get into a rut doing that, right? Because you have limited stimulation. That would be the word. But, one of the things I said to Jody was, it's really important, Jody, that you keep up your creative side. And the reason I said that was because creativity requires problem solving. It requires use of your right brain. And it balances out all the heavy thinking that you have to do when you are medically challenged in some way. And so to me, it's a very important part of life, all right, is to have that balance. I challenged Beth to actually sit down and read for an hour a week, because her life is so busy doing other things that, my fear was, does she slow down enough to give her brain a chance to rest? And one of the ways that I find out whether I'm balanced or not is I try and read. And if I can't get past a few lines without my mind going on, I'm going, okay, fine, I'm definitely overstimulated. So what I do is I actually deep breathe until I can bring my tension level down, and then I read again. And now this week I was really surprised. I managed to sit down and read one chapter of 3 different books, and one of them I actually read more. And so, this is like, okay, my life is balancing pretty well, because I am able to go from high achievement into relaxation when I want to. However, for those of you who were with me for the broadcast that we did on New Year, for some reason, by doing that broadcast, I overstimulated my brain. I could not get to sleep after that. I was still awake at 3 o'clock. I was still awake at 4 o'clock. I rested, but I was still awake at 6 o'clock. And then I went and made coffee, because I went, that's ridiculous, at 6 o'clock. I didn't sleep at all that night. And it was purely because I overstimulated my brain. It reminded me of how I used to be, and I don't want to be again, where I'm just going like the little hamster in the hamster wheel. And I wanted to get off the hamster wheel. All right, so yes, okay. So Jody's saying it's been such a wonderful, refreshing break from the drudgery to bring that creative side back. Thank you, Sal. Well, actually, I just talked about it. You did it. So thank yourself. Thank yourself for giving yourself the gift of balance, Jody. I know you spend an awful lot of time, counting out medicines and putting them in the right order, and, doing all those things that you have to do so in such important stuff. I know that all the hours you spend with me, and, if you think about it, you spend 6 hours, a week with me, just, helping me with the broadcast. But then over and above that, you're helping me remember the things that I have to remember afterwards. So you're putting in nearly a day's work to help me with Dear Mama Sal. And I'm pretty sure you don't consider it work. But, it's like, thank you. Because that requires that you stay in the moment, right? Because you never know when I'm going to say the words, Jody, please, could you make a note of that? But, it's really, really important. And I want to thank you for the support of, being there, doing the support with the walk. By the way, for those of you who didn't see, did any of you see the map I put up. Let me see if I can get to it. Oh, I know what I forgot today. Really important. Wait. Very important. First things first. Yeah, I'm glad that you do appreciate it. In case you want to know, it's 354 days until Christmas. It's just 1 month and 11 days until Valentine's Day, in case you're planning to make something for that. And it's just 75 days until spring. Oh, it's so close. I mean, 75 days, that's a little over 60 weeks. So it's 2 months and 2 weeks. That's all. Yay! So I'm very happy. But for those of you who heard about the walking thing, it's amazing how far we've come. And I say that because I think Jody will tell you this as well, that it adds up so quickly, and I'm actually quite surprised how far I've walked. And I'm just going to get this here so you can see it. All right, just on the big scale of things, I wanted to show you what it looks like. I am trying to walk right across British Columbia to Calgary. This is Calgary, right? That's a journey of 650 miles. Have we had any snow? We had some slushy stuff, but not much. Now, it's probably going to take me, I think I worked it out, about 3 years. But what I wanted to show you is, surprise, surprise. Come on. How far I've come just in the week that we've been doing this, 9 days, I think. All right, I started here, but I'm already, I hate it when I do that to this thing. But, it is surprising how far I've come. So what I wanted to explain was, do I think, I actually plotted this out to do an average of 5,000. No, I said I wanted to walk half a mile a day average. And I don't mind how I do it, right? I can do it in my house. I can do it out, exercising, whatever. All right. But what I wanted to do was to actually make sure that I kept up that average. Now, that red thing that you see is where I should be by now. Can you see how much I've overachieved, Beth? Okay. And the reason I've overachieved is because I've kept up that average. And if I keep up the average just of exercise, then you understand my walking around the house and up and down stairs, doing stuff is adding to that. Yeah. So, to me, it's like, it's a really fun way to get some exercise. And I really appreciate both Jody and Lauren for coming on this journey with me. And if any of you want to do it just for the fun of it, it actually is surprising how much fun it is. And Jody is doing hers with arm rolls. Lauren is doing hers in a wheelchair, and it allows for that. It's amazing. So, to me, this is like, none of us really want to go out and exercise. I don't think many people get their jollies, but I'm amazed how my mind's saying, I need to get out. That red thing's going to catch up with me any minute now. If I don't keep ahead of it, I want to be ahead of it. I don't want to be behind it, because I know me. I will get upset if it beats me. And the other thing Jody was talking about, and that's really important in your life, understand you're never in competition with anybody else. One of the things I say to YouTubers all the time, please do not be in competition with another YouTuber. please just keep improving your own skills and beat yourself. All right, Trina's saying she'd love to, but you don't have a Fitbit. All right, you don't have to have a Fitbit. Do you have a smartphone? Do you have a smartphone? Because today, every smartphone has a tracker on it, a pedometer. Or buy a pedometer for a couple of bucks. I personally, just so that you know, Trish, what I do, Trina, what I do is when I want to go and do some serious work up and down the stairs, right? So the trick is this. When you want to do exercise, whatever it is, turn on the tracker. And, find a way of carrying it. And that's the problem that I said, the difficulty with women is we don't have enough clothes with pockets. So we don't carry our phones with us. Men, but, or just strap it to your arm. With some Velcro or something. There are ways. If I paid you $1 million to be able to track your steps for a day, I'm sure you'd find a way. But, or have a special belt and just stick it in, make one. You are very creative. I don't have to give you too many ideas here. But remember, you must try it and carry it. Right, must try. No, do it. Don't try, just do it. The interesting thing is that you can go for a walk and just stick it in your pocket and just turn it on. All right, download a walking app and just turn it on. And then when you're at home, find a way. If you've got an apron with a pocket in it, drop your phone into the pocket, but turn on the walking app. I'm amazed how many steps I put in. By the way, you can buy one of these for like $50 these days. You don't have to spend the $150 I spent on a Fitbit. So, and do it tomorrow in a jeans pocket. Now, obviously, you don't put your jeans on by lying on your bed, right? You can actually get your jeans on without lying down. I used to have to sort of lie down to get into my jeans. I remember that. In the days when I could still wear jeans. I can't wear jeans anymore. But, I can, okay, I can do these up. But, it's like anything in life, it's amazing how many excuses we can come up to. But what I always say to people is, I paid you $1 million, would you find a way? And the answer is, of course I would. So go ahead. Do it. Right? And just, stretch when I tell you to, breathe in and stretch. Yeah. So I would really love it, because the more people we can get joining us, the more interesting it's going to be. And did you all notice that I put 2 new tabs on the DearMamaSal.com page? Jody, can you remind me just to mention that when I do the evening broadcast early on? One is for people who want to join in and walk with us, or wheel with us, or arm roll with us. You can do arm rolls doing this, Trina. Just literally do this, and because Jody's doing that. And you'll be amazed how much energy you use doing that. So the other one is resources. Yes. What I wanted to do was to start a resource page, because I can talk about Mandino, or I can talk about the loofah thing or anything else. And I realized that some people think about it afterwards and go, what did she say about that? And I wanted to make sure we have a resource page so that you could go back and check on that. So that's what we've done. So those 2 pages are now in the DearMamaSal.com Facebook page. And actually what surprised me was, Jody, I know you said to me you were surprised how quickly I produced those. But do you understand, Jody, that 6 years ago, I could not have begun to do that? Never mind, get in there and do it and be out again in an hour or so, right? What I'm trying to say is that, you know, like I'm struggling with Doogly at the moment. I was struggling with doing that. Oh, Beth, are you still there? Okay, Jody, could you make a note for me to ask Beth? I'll do it privately, but or something. I've got a technical problem that I wanted to check with Charles because he's the expert on these things. All right, so there we go. So remember that we all need to sell ourselves. How many of you know that I need to sell myself on getting out of the door and going and exercising? That is a sales job, right? Yes, Sal. You can do this. Imagine how you're going to feel. Oh, Beth, there you are. Could you ask Charles for me? I don't know if I've asked you before, Beth, but I wanted to. I need to renew. I've paid for my SSL, that's Sugar London, SSL certificate. But GoDaddy wants to charge me $100 to update it on my website. It can't be that difficult. I want to know whether somebody in my pay grade can do that without spending $100. And if so, where do I get the certificate? I mean, I know that I've got it, if you know what I mean, but I need my website to say that it's secure. So GoDaddy confirms that I have it paid for. It's just that it's not installed on my web. Do you understand my question? And I don't need the answer right now. It's just if you could ask him and let me know, I'd really appreciate it, because I just don't believe I should have to spend $100 for them to do that. I am certain that it's within my pay grade if I just have somebody tell me what to do. I just said to them, tell me what to do and I'll do it. And they said, no, that's why we charge $100. And I went, okay, fine. Then my answer is no. I don't want to go back and have to pay that. On principle. Thank you very much, Beth. I appreciate it. All right, everybody. You see, what's the point of having friends with knowledge if you don't ask these questions? So what I wanted to say is, remember, sell yourself on your goals this week. All right. I want you to literally do what makes success happen. Success is when you can cross things off and go, I did that. Success is not writing down the goals. Agreed? Success is when you keep crossing things off. and yes, it does take page upon page. My job is, and same as Beth. Beth and I have the same problem. When we start using a planner, we end up, because our minds go so fast, we end up with twice as much stuff as we started with, right, Beth? So the trick is how to control that. And that's literally get it out of the way. All right. The reason that we do this, Beth, is because that's how our minds work. Right? Beth, did I ever show you why that's a problem for people like us? Because if not, I'd like to just quickly show you. Okay, Beth, if you can see this, what happens is, for most people, they're here and they write down a goal, which is for B here. And what they do is they systematically, walk their way across to be. And Beth, that's not how you and I work. And there are a few other people probably the same way. What happens to us is we're here and we get this light bulb moment about the fact, it's a rotten looking light bulb, but you get the idea. That we get this light bulb moment that we can see, be here. And so we start taking one step, but then our minds go, yeah, but I could also do da, 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 da. And we go, I better write that down. And then we take the next step and da, 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 da. And then we take them, and then we go like this, and then we do here. We do this every moment of our waking day, Beth, and we do it in a split second. I think the mind, makes about, I think it's 20,000 decisions a minute or something ridiculous. Our problem is that when we start writing down what's in our mind, we end up with this because this is how we think. And I want to tell you, when somebody once said to me, Linda, I'm going to take a little bit of extra time today because it is important that we understand this. I had a therapist ask me once whether I had a problem. All right. And of course I had a problem. That's why I was at a therapist. My therapist asked me, do you have a problem where somebody talks about this and you immediately come up with the answer and they say, how did you come up with it? And you can't tell them? I said, yeah, that happens to me all the time. But the therapist said, but you know that this is the answer. You just can't tell them how you got to it. And I go, yeah, that happens to me all the time. And he said, let me tell you why. He said, you are what's called a verbal genius. How about that? I like that. But he said, this is why. And that's what he showed me, Linda and Beth, that my mind works like this. Okay? And I collect information from all over the place, and then that brings me to that conclusion. So when somebody says, how did you come up with that conclusion? I cannot remember where I picked up all these different bits that made me come up with this as the solution. Does that make sense? And he said, that's why I asked you, because he said, your brain really is on steroids. And the funny thing is, I always thought, I wasn't particularly quick-brained. So I wanted to show that to some of you because it's an important thing to know that when I start writing down what I need to do, I end up overloaded because I pick up so many, but I also need to do this, and therefore I also need to do this. And I end up with so much that I overwhelm. And you can see that in 3 days, I totally filled up this page and then had to fill up other things before I even turned over, for the next day. It's like, who does that? And I thought Beth would, yeah. Pretty sure that Jody on a hot day would do the same. So the trick is how to control it. Good. All right. So everybody, I look forward to seeing some of you at 7:00 tonight, my time. Yeah, I know, Jody. There's a reason. You know why I know that to be true of you, Jody? Look how many times I've been talking about something and you automatically go and suss it out for me, come back with the answer and feed it to me. All right? It's the way you think. You are a resource genius. All right? If you don't know the answer, you go find it. So to my mind, I as Beth would say, I'd always want you on my team. I'd always want you on my team because you don't come up with problems, you come up with answers. And that is a very rare talent. Most people like to come up with reasons why they can't do things. And that's not who you are. And so, I find that very interesting in people, the sort of people. I've always said to people when they work with me, I really don't care how you do it. And, as long as it's ethical and legal, I don't really care how you do it. Do it your way, but this is what I need, and I need it by this date. Do you understand? It's just like, why? I'm not going to tell Jody how to do something. Unless she asks me, Sal, how do I do that? Then I will take the time to educate her if I know. But, other than that, Jody is a very resourceful person. And I will just tell her, this is the framework. This is what I need in somebody who's an admin for me. All right. How you do, I don't care how you keep the notes. I don't care, whether you keep it in your mind, whether you keep it on paper, whether you do, I don't really care how you do that. It doesn't worry me at all. Just do me a favor at the end of the broadcast, let me know what I still have to do. And then, I will let you know when I've done the things on the list so it's all completed. But, it's like, I don't really mind how you do it. Does that make sense? And I think that's where a lot of people get into trouble controlling, is they keep telling people how it has to be done. And I know from my experience, anybody tells me how I have to do it, I don't want to do it anymore. Like, I want you to clean the kitchen and this is how you have to do it. Yeah, right. I'll clean the kitchen. If you want to get picky about it, get somebody else to do it. But I'll clean the kitchen. If by the time I finish it fails quality control, let me know where it failed and I'll tidy those bits up a bit more. But don't tell me how to clean. Or don't tell me, it's just like, it takes all the creativity out of it for me. And by the way, talking about cleaning, for those of you who want to know how my robot cleaner Clarence is doing, I want to tell you, I was so impressed. He didn't take any days off over Christmas or New Year. He was still working. He's still mopping floors. He tidied up all the bits. By the time I've got the tree down, I know he's just going to tidy up all those little bits that fall off the tree. This was not a waste of money, people. I cannot believe, even now when I look at my floors after Christmas time, I cannot believe how clean my floors are. And I only send him out every couple of days. I don't send him out every day. But I will send him out again as soon as the tree's down, that's for sure. Because I don't want all that lot everywhere. Every now and then I take him downstairs. He goes for a walk downstairs into my laundry room and my lobby. And I want to tell you, that was horrifying. I also thought I might let him loose in my garage and see what he brings up. I hope you give him a pay increase, yes. But the wonderful thing is I just have to clean him, and fill him up with liquids, and he seems to be quite happy. He doesn't complain. Occasionally he gets a little moment where he gets stuck on something I shouldn't have left on the ground, but other than that, he just works away. And yesterday I had him out cleaning and stuff, and I forgot that he was busy working, and I was busy doing some stuff on DearMamaSal. And when I went to go and get the next meal, I realized he was back home in his little charging station. And I'm thinking, you ran out of gas and you went home. That's so clever. Because, you end up talking to them like a dog. Yeah. Yeah, you think you're going to call your partner, Clarence. Yeah. Does he want to visit Ireland? Well, I definitely have to tell you something that the other thing is this. If you don't want to spend, I was amazed how many things you can buy directly from China these days, and get them at half the price. You just need to know what it looks like before they put their logos on it. And if you can see that, you can probably get it from China at half the price. But that's just saying, I got to go. All right, everybody. So have a wonderful afternoon. For some of you, I will see you in a few hours. And the rest of you, I hope to see you soon. Keep going with your goals one step at a time. You know, that's what we say on Friday lunchtime is let's take one more step. Is there anything before I go that anybody wants to work on that we can help you with, just so that I've got it in my mind for the next broadcast that we do? And are there any other quotes you really would like me to talk about? Keep smiling. I will try my best to do that. And keep eating is what the other thing I'm learning that I need to do. And keep keeping track. Boy, it takes time to get all these things down properly. But I'm hoping by the time I get to see the dietitian, I will have enough information to show that I'm doing most of what I meant to do. I just need that framework, which I probably am not going to like, but I will do it. All right, big hugs, everybody. We'll see you later on. This is DearMamaSal saying, one step at a time is what successful people do. They get their goals on paper. They actually produce them one step at a time. Good. We'll see you tonight. This is DearMamaSal saying bye-bye for now.